My name's Wayne Herschel. I'm very pleased to show you the ancient alien collection of ancient artifacts that shows star maps that show an ancient alien presence in our history. And I'd like to start with the Sumerian collection first, and then we'll move on to the Germanian and the Inca. The Nineveh disc, found in the area of Nineveh in ancient Sumeria. This is an amazing artifact. This duplication shows a heck of a lot here. First of all, this is a copy of something that was very modern and very well made. So scholars believe this is a copy on a clay tablet of something far more important and earlier. This is quite amazing here because it has 3 dots in a row that follows with an arrow. I'm pretty convinced this is Orion, and the artist that recreated this in ancient times moved Orion's belt from the hourglass shape to the side just to tell the story and show the arrow. The most amazing thing with this story is if you follow across, I'm going to turn it around, we have an X and an arrow going through it. I believe this is telling the story, both arrows pointing at each other, telling the story in a different way with astronomy and naming stars in a cross formation and following 3 belt stars as the arrow that points the way, like the Chi Rho of Constantine for the Christian history. But where does it point to? What is it showing to? Well, apparently according to Zechariah Sitchin, the writing here is follow, just a little further, and it's a cosmic traveler. Is it Enki traveling? I'm not too sure, but it's a cosmic traveler following, and it says follow and past the 7 heavenly bodies. Sitchin believed these were planets. I don't think so. The ancient Sumerian tablets show the Pleiades as being the collective cluster, and it's a definite cluster. And it seems the story seems to take it further with an arrow type effect, and past the 7 heavenly bodies. I'm just going to try and see if we can get closer, and you can see it shows the way in this arrow to 3 dots in a row and 1 dot. I honestly believe that must be a sun-like star, and perhaps 3 worlds around that sun-like star. This is the Nineveh disc. The ground zero Sumerian seal. Sitchin made this one quite famous. It is now missing. So this original scroll seal, we cannot find what museum it originated from. Pleiades, museums like the British Museum insist that this is the Pleiades. A king standing on top of the throne, sitting on top of a lion. It denotes kingdom, kingship. On his crown he has a star, but there's also one next to it. This is the real star. This is his designated gold star on top of his crown. So don't mix the two. That's the real one. This is one on his crown. 3 stars rising on the horizon, the 3 magi that arise vertically as it does in the east. Orion's belt. This is what aligns to that star, and it's in an area near the Pleiades. So this star with Orion vertical and the Pleiades and the star is astronomically very accurate. Is it a moon there? I would insist it is a world that goes with the star, and it's in crescent from the light of that star. Is this an ancient astronaut? You tell me. But what convincingly completes the story is the disc that flies. This is the means of flying. This is their flying disc celestial ship. One of my most favorite artifacts, a big story in my book, The Hidden Records. It's so fantastic to see the Pleiades in such detail. Yes, it is the Pleiades. Historians in the Berlin Museum, where this original is kept, speak of it as the Pleiades. A man in front of 2 discs, 2 circular orbs, one big one and one small one. Or is it a man inside a ship that flies, holding onto some kind of a gear and operating a mechanism? Could this be the celestial ship? Or is it a dual interpretation of the most important teaching, which is it's a sun and a world and a man standing in front of it to do with the beginnings and origins of this man? He's not wearing Sumerian uniform, he's wearing a bodysuit. But because we have Taurus here and something on the back of the bull, I think this is what really speaks volumes here. This is the place where the Pleiades resides, and it's like a cartouche that's emanating light. It's pretty amazing footage. Now, with this being Taurus, there's a dual overlay here. Let's forget about the two orbs of a sun and a world with the Pleiades. Put those out of the picture. Imagine that there's a man standing with some kind of a club, a pelt, a lion pelt, and the bull. This is exactly Orion man holding the lion pelt with a club with Taurus. So there's Orion and Taurus in the true perspective here, and something very important that the bull's head is turning to emphasize what's on the back of the bull's area, which is where the Pleiades reside. So we have a dual overlay, so to speak, Pleiades with a sun and a world, and Orion man being positioned over it to tell the story with Taurus. Absolutely stunning artifact. Wow, this is quite an amazing piece as well. This is a duplication of what was found in Germany in the area of I think it's Nebra, so they call it the Nebra disc. Scholars agree that that's the Pleiades. It's on a copper base type metal with gold inlay. And scholars were saying that this is the Pleiades, fine, this is the Milky Way, absolutely concur. But they say it's the sun and the moon. With all these other ancient artifacts showing a sun and a world in crescent, to do with the gods and the people that they venerated, is quite likely this is exactly the same thing. This is Pleiades, its sun-like star, and the world of the gods. Right, now we start the Inca collection. Some of the new ones. A Colombian gold spaceship. It looks like a shuttle. The aerodynamics design of it, I would say, better suits a shuttle than any kind of animal, bird, fish, whatever you want to call it. I would say it's pretty likely that there were air-based aircraft that could fly other than the typical disc-type spaceship. So in this sort of situation, I would say that this is quite likely to be the remains of an ancient aircraft being reduplicated. This is another new one. Viracocha or Sishan. It's quite hard to differentiate between the two. I personally think it's Viracocha, but scholars say it's Sishan. Inca sun gods. So we're on the Inca story still. All of the remaining story now is Inca. He's holding two suns, one in each hand, and there's one on his crown. See this? So we have a three connection here. Three. One very important that is he is crowned with, like in the Christian story, like sun gods, like Helios. And if you look closely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blue stones inlaid. I'm pretty sure that's the Pleiades. That's all that's missing here. 3 suns, the most important one, Pleiades, and there's a really big one here, which is the last piece of the puzzle, the world associated with this big sun. So the two go together, and there are 2 others making this triangulation. From Cusco, the golden tablet. Supposed to be a union of the two, our world with the world of the gods, and it's Viracocha or star visitor speaking to a man on the terra firma on Earth. What do we have here? Look at the very top of it. Orion, 3 in a row. Follow the way from Orion. This is obviously from a Western perspective when it's in the sky. Follow down through to this collective here, which I believe is Taurus. What we have with Taurus as well, when you follow from Orion, Pleiades. Yes, scholars believe that's Pleiades. They will not speak about this, however. This looks like a world with continents and a firmament. This is a very interesting new part. A cluster of stars with 2 trails. I believe this is the reference to the timing of something coming into the area of between Orion and Taurus that looks like that. Only a comet would look like that, but it needs to be a fragmented comet. I honestly believe this is Comet Ison, and it's a period speaking of now. Somewhere very soon, very shortly, the visitors will revisit our world. On the side here we have South America. The cosmic dragon actually goes right round the building. back to this world. So it goes right down. This is a picture of what it looked like in the Kurikancha temple. That's why it has this funny roof design, and it has an altar at the bottom of it. This was the whole wall of the Kurikancha temple. And that there is an oval sun disk. They say this was the Inti Punchaku. It was a giant big sun disk that had this oval face on it. And it has a whole legend behind it. So I've done a rebuild of this whole face. I'll show you what I think it looks like. This is what I believe the sun disk looks like. It's too big for the camera because I'm holding it so close. It would have looked something like this, with a typical sort of strange eyes, like goggled-eyed being. This is the detail that was on the forehead, a man holding a disc. The Pleiades should be on here. If the golden tablet is right, scholars left that out when they did the rebuild for other museums. That, I believe, would probably what it looks like. So this is a rebuild using other references to history. Orion at the bottom. That, I believe, is what the Inti Punchaka would have once looked like. And the latest and greatest. There it is. I have the 12-sided stone of the Incas, chosen for the art piece, and the two lineages at the earliest time of the Incas. Let's position the camera. Right. The size of this brain is no joke. This is a 1 liter extra volume skull. There are many of these skulls. If you just Google elongated skulls, you will see all the variations in the museums in Peru. Incredible size brain. An extra liter of brain. Is it better thinking? I don't know. But you can imagine having an extra 1 liter of brain. Thoughts and creation, your mind ability might be something quite spectacular. Perhaps a bigger pineal gland. It is part of, I believe, a head binding technique. There is the normal skull of the Inca that were followers of this pre-Inca tribe. I think these are the Paracas lineage, a whole human bloodline that had this very amazing gene ability to grow big brains, but it needs skull binding to create that growth. If you look at these petals of the brain here, as a child when it's born, it's very, very soft. Those petals will not close if you keep the head under some sort of binding pressure. The brain will allow to keep growing while the petals catch up, and then perhaps after 1 or 2 years they don't need any more head binding and they've got these very large genetically grown brains. But if you bind a normal human lineage skull, it probably goes very cone shaped. So you tell me. But this is a recreation of that history.